Welcome, weary climber. Tonight you have arrived at a place of stillness, a sanctuary woven from breath and shadow, where the only summit that matters is the one you reach in sleep. Beyond these walls, peaks may pierce the sky like prayers carved in stone. Ridges may stretch toward horizons that call with fierce beauty, and summits may stand crowned in ice and cloud, waiting with patient indifference. But here, you need climb nothing. Here, your striving can rest. Let your breathing find its natural rhythm, like a steady pace on level ground. Breathe in slowly, filling your lungs with the cool air of evening. Breathe out, releasing the weight you have carried all day. Feel the surface beneath you, not as stone or snow, but as sanctuary, a base camp for the tired spirit. If it helps, imagine a single flame nearby, its light unwavering even when ambition whispers and the summit calls. Tonight, we ascend into the territory of the heart's most dangerous terrain, summit fever, that fierce longing that turns a goal into something more powerful than wisdom. We will explore 100 truths about the moment when desire eclipses judgment, when the top becomes more important than the journey home, when climbers choose glory over survival and pay prices written in frostbite, exhaustion, and sometimes in life itself. We walk this path not to frighten, but to understand. Not to judge those who have climbed beyond their limits, but to honor the complexity of human ambition and the razor's edge between courage and recklessness. The high places have always called to something deep within us, something that wants to stand where few have stood, to touch what seems unreachable, to prove that the impossible can yield to determination. Summit fever is ambition's shadow side, the moment when that calling becomes a roar that drowns out the body's warnings, the weather's threats, and time's precious limits. It is the climber at 28,000 feet who continues upward despite failing oxygen, the alpinist who ignores the afternoon storm clouds, the expedition that pushes past the turnaround time because the summit gleams so close, so achingly close. As you listen tonight, you may notice something unexpected. Learning about summit fever is also learning about yourself, about the goals you chase, the warnings you ignore, the moments when wanting something eclipses the wisdom of when to stop. Mountains are honest teachers. They show us our ambitions without flattery, our limits without mercy, and our mortality without metaphor. So release the tension from your shoulders, unclench your jaw, let your hands unfold, palms open, holding nothing. If thoughts arrive like winds at high altitude, you need not climb into them. Just watch them move across the vast interior sky of your mind and let them pass. Tonight, we stand in the death zone of ambition, where the air is too thin for judgment and desire burns with oxygen-starved intensity. We learn what happens when the summit becomes sacred, when turning back feels like failure, when the mountain's final meters become a test of worthiness itself. You are not on that mountain now. You are here, safe and grounded, held by walls and warmth and the patient pull of sleep. Your only task is to breathe, to listen, and to drift downward into rest. Summit fever begins with a whisper long before the climb, the dream of standing where earth meets sky, of seeing the world spread beneath you in all directions, of accomplishing what few attempt and fewer complete. This longing is not inherently dangerous. It has driven humanity to explore, to create, to reach beyond comfortable boundaries. But on a mountain where oxygen thins and cold bites deep, where weather changes in minutes and exhaustion compounds with every step. This whisper can become a shout that silences reason. The phenomenon has a physiological component. At extreme altitude, the brain itself begins to starve for oxygen, and decision-making deteriorates even as conviction intensifies. Climbers describe a narrowing of focus, a tunnel vision, where only the summit exists and consequences fade to irrelevance. Yet summit fever is more than hypoxia. It is the culmination of months or years of preparation, of money spent and relationships strained, of a story you have already told yourself about who you will become when you reach the top. There is spiritual truth here. We all carry summits in our minds, goals that we believe will complete us, achievements we think will finally prove our worth. And sometimes those summits whisper that they matter more than our health, our relationships, our peace. Tonight, let those false summits fade into shadow. Let your only goal be the honest one, to rest, to recover, to wake tomorrow still whole. The 14 8,000 peaks, mountains exceeding 8,000 meters, have claimed hundreds of lives, and many of those deaths occurred on the descent after the summit was reached, but the reserves were spent. Climbers speak of summit fever as a specific state, a compulsion so strong that rational thought becomes background noise. The top is visible, perhaps only an hour away, and the mind begins negotiating. Just a little further, just past this ridge, just to that final snow slope, the body signals, dizziness, stumbling, blurred vision, are reinterpreted as temporary obstacles rather than emergency warnings. In 1996, 8 climbers died on Everest in a single storm, many of them because they summited too late in the day and could not descend before the weather turned. The guides knew the turnaround time, the clients knew the rules. But summit fever is a democracy of delusion. It affects guides and clients, experienced mountaineers and ambitious novices alike. When the summit is close and years of dreaming compress into a single choice, the rational mind finds itself shouting from a distant room while desire takes the wheel. This is the paradox of achievement. The closer you come to your goal, the harder it becomes to turn away. Proximity creates its own gravity, and tonight, as you rest, imagine the opposite. Imagine the freedom of releasing a goal that has become an obsession, of choosing life over accomplishment, of valuing the journey home as much as the arrival. The turnaround time is a sacred boundary in mountaineering, a predetermined hour when climbers must begin their descent regardless of how close the summit may be. On Everest, this is often 2 p.m. Summit later than that, and you descend in darkness, cold, and depleted reserves. The turnaround time is not a suggestion, but a contract with survival, a promise made at base camp when minds are clear and bodies are strong. Yet summit fever erodes this boundary like wind on stone. Climbers arrive at turnaround time just below the summit, perhaps 30 minutes from the top, perhaps less, and the mental negotiation begins. Just a little longer. We're so close. The weather looks stable. This is my only chance. Each rationalization sounds reasonable in isolation, but together they form a cascade that carries climbers beyond the point of safe return. The descent will take longer than expected. Darkness will arrive sooner, and the margin for error will vanish like breath in thin air. There is wisdom here about boundaries in general, about the commitments we make when we are clear-headed that must hold when we are desperate. The turnaround time asks a question. Can you honour your own limits when honouring them means giving up what you want most? Tonight, honour this boundary. The boundary between waking and sleep, between striving and surrender. It is time to turn around, to descend into the valley of rest, to let the summit wait for another day. The death zone begins at 8,000 meters, where the air holds only 1/3 the oxygen available at sea level, and the human body begins to die cell by cell. Even with supplemental oxygen, climbers cannot remain in this zone for long. The body consumes itself, burning muscle for fuel, and the mind begins to fracture under the strain. Yet summit fever burns brightest in the death zone, where proximity to the goal and physiological impairment create a perfect storm of poor judgment. Climbers who would never take such risks at lower altitudes find themselves making fatal decisions in the thin air, where thinking itself becomes a struggle. The death zone is aptly named. It is not metaphor, but medical fact. At these heights, sleep brings no recovery, food provides no real nourishment, and rest offers no restoration. Every minute spent above 8,000 meters is borrowed time, and yet, this is precisely where summit fever tightens its grip, where climbers convince themselves that one more hour, one more push, one more ridge will be worth the cost. The irony is brutal. In the place where judgment matters most, the brain is least capable of good judgment. Tonight, you need not survive the death zone. Your body lies in air rich with oxygen, your blood flowing easily, your cells repairing and renewing in the warm darkness. Let your breathing deepen, each breath a gift your lungs receive without struggle. You are descended to safety, to the green valleys where life flourishes and rest comes easily. On Everest summit ridge, climbers encounter what guides call the traffic jam. A queue of people waiting their turn on the fixed ropes, sometimes for hours, burning precious oxygen and daylight while standing still in the death zone. Modern commercial expeditions have made Everest more accessible, but they have also created a new danger: crowding. Summit fever compels people to wait in line rather than turn around, to stand freezing and hypoxic on a knife-edge ridge rather than descend and live. The 2019 season saw photographs that shocked the world. Hundreds of climbers lined up like ants on the Hillary step, each person burning through their oxygen reserves while waiting for others to move. 11 climbers died that season, many from exhaustion and exposure during these delays. They summited, yes, but they summited into conditions that gave them no margin for error. Summit fever had convinced them that waiting was acceptable, that the summit justified any delay, that turning back after waiting so long would be unbearable. The image carries its own teaching. Sometimes the path to your goal becomes so crowded that reaching it costs more than it's worth. Sometimes the wise choice is to step out of line, to descend while others wait, to choose the quiet valley over the congested peak. As you rest tonight, imagine yourself stepping out of every exhausting queue, every competition that drains more than it gives. There is no line to wait in here, no summit that requires you to freeze while others take their turn. Just rest, deep and uncomplicated. The bodies on Everest serve as waypoints, green boots, sleeping beauty, the climber in the rainbow-coloured jacket. These are not names but descriptions, the grim landmarks by which climbers navigate the upper mountain. Most died on the descent, summit fever having pushed them just far enough that they had nothing left for the journey down. Their bodies remain because recovery is nearly impossible at that altitude. even a rescue of a living person often fails in the death zone's brutal calculus of risk versus return. These frozen forms are not failures but warnings, silent testimonials to the moment when ambition eclipsed survival. Many of them summited. Many reached the goal they had travelled so far to achieve. But summiting is only half the journey, and summit fever creates a dangerous amnesia about the return. The mountain does not care about your achievement. It cares only about physics, weather, and the body's limits. And when those limits are exceeded, the mountain keeps what it takes. Tonight, let these stories teach without haunting. The climbers who did not return were not foolish. They were human, driven by the same desires that live in all of us. The longing to accomplish something difficult and rare. Honor their memory by understanding the lesson. There are summits not worth dying for, goals not worth destroying yourself to reach. Let your own ambition soften in the darkness, becoming wishes rather than demands, hopes rather than obsessions. Experienced mountaineers develop an instinct for turning around, a quiet voice that says, "Not today," even when the summit beckons. This instinct comes not from weakness but from wisdom, from having seen what happens when climbers ignore their body's warnings. The best mountaineers have long lists of peaks they did not summit, mountains they approached but chose not to finish. These are not failures in their minds, but victories of judgment, moments when they honored life over achievement and lived to climb again. Reinhold Messner, who climbed all 14 8,000ers without supplemental oxygen, turned back on attempts more often than he summited. Ed Viestas, the first American to climb all 14, made turning around a discipline rather than a defeat. These climbers understood that the mountain will be there next season, but if you die chasing it, there is no next season. Summit fever tempts you to believe this is your only chance, but the mountains are patient and your life is finite. The math favors retreat. There is profound freedom in turning around. In that moment, you reclaim agency from obsession. You choose survival over story. You honor your own life as more valuable than any achievement. And tonight, practice that same freedom. The freedom to stop chasing what exhausts you, to turn away from goals that demand too much, to descend into rest without apology or regret. The fixed ropes that guide climbers on technical sections create their own psychology. They offer the illusion of safety while leading directly into danger. Clipped to the rope, climbers feel secure even as they enter terrain where a single mistake brings death. The rope becomes a leash pulling them upward, and summit fever uses that rope as encouragement. You're clipped in, you're safe, keep going. But the rope cannot protect against exhaustion, altitude sickness, or the weather. It offers security against falling, but not against the accumulated cost of pushing too hard, too high, too long. Commercial expeditions rely heavily on fixed ropes, pre-placed by Sherpa teams who rig the mountain like a via ferrata. This infrastructure makes summits accessible to less experienced climbers, but it also masks the mountain's true difficulty. Climbers ascend on rope thinking the mountain has been tamed, not realizing that altitude and exhaustion care nothing for ropes and anchors. Summit fever thrives in this false confidence, telling climbers that because the route is equipped, it is therefore safe. But equipment cannot compensate for poor decision making or the body's limits. Let this remind you, no external support can substitute for internal wisdom. No rope, no guide, No system can protect you from yourself when you override your own limits. Tonight, you need no rope because you need no summit, just the slow descent into sleep, unclipped and unburdened, free to rest without destination. Weather windows in the Himalayas are narrow and precious. A few days in spring, a few in autumn, when the jet stream shifts and the summit becomes briefly, precariously reachable. Outside these windows, winds of 200 kilometers per hour make the upper mountain a death sentence. But weather windows create urgency, and urgency feeds summit fever. Climbers know they have perhaps 3 or 4 days to attempt the summit, and this scarcity makes every delay, every hesitation feel unbearable. The window is closing. This might be the only chance. This pressure transforms reasonable people into desperate gamblers. They summit in marginal conditions, telling themselves the weather looks okay when it is merely not yet catastrophic. They push through afternoon storms, through rising winds, through gathering clouds, because the window is closing and next year is uncertain and they have come so far. The weather window becomes a countdown, and countdown thinking is summit, fever's closest ally. Notice how scarcity creates urgency in your own life, how limited time makes you rush, how deadlines make you compromise, how the fear of missing out drives you to say yes when your body needs no. Tonight, the window is infinite. There is no deadline for rest, no scarcity of sleep, no countdown to peace. Time stretches out in all directions, and you can take as long as you need to settle into stillness. Altitude sickness comes in 3 forms, each more dangerous than the last. Acute mountain sickness brings headache, nausea, dizziness, uncomfortable but manageable with descent and rest. High altitude pulmonary edema fills the lungs with fluid, creating a cough that sounds like drowning, a breathlessness that no amount of oxygen fully relieves. High altitude cerebral edema swells the brain inside the skull, causing confusion, loss of coordination, and eventually coma. Both HAPE and HACE are fatal without rapid descent. Yet summit fever convinces climbers that symptoms are temporary, that they can push through, that the summit justifies the risk. Climbers have summited Everest while actively dying from cerebral edema. Their judgments so impaired, they could not recognize their own critical state. They reached the top and died on the way down, or worse, died at the summit itself, their goal and their grave the same coordinates. The mountain archives these stories not as cautionary tales that stop future climbers, but as evidence that summit fever overrides even the most basic survival instinct. The recognition that your brain is swelling and you need to descend immediately or die. Your brain needs no summit tonight. It needs rest, recovery, the gentle restoration that comes when you stop demanding and start receiving. Let your thoughts slow like a climber descending to thicker air, each breath bringing more clarity, more ease, more peace. The Sherpas who work the high mountains carry a different relationship with summit fever. For them, the summit is workplace, not pilgrimage. They ascend multiple times per season, fixing ropes, carrying loads, supporting clients. They see climbers succumb to summit fever season after season, watch the same patterns repeat. The client who won't turn around, the climber who ignores symptoms, the person whose dream has become dangerous. Sherpas know the mountain's moods intimately, and they have learned to read when a summit attempt crosses from ambitious to suicidal. Yet even their warnings often go unheeded by clients whose vision has narrowed to a single point on the horizon. There is a cultural dimension here too. Western climbers often bring an individualistic drive, a need to conquer and claim, while Sherpa culture traditionally views mountains as sacred, worthy of respect rather than conquest. When summit fever takes hold, it steamrolls cultural wisdom and local knowledge, replacing humility with entitlement. The mountain becomes something to defeat rather than something to honor, and this shift in relationship often precedes disaster. Tonight, release the language of conquest. You need not defeat anything to prove your worth. The only victory that matters here is the victory of surrender, the strength to stop striving and simply be. Rest is not weakness but wisdom, and sleep is not failure but restoration. Commercial expeditions have democratized high-altitude climbing, making it possible for anyone with money and moderate fitness to attempt peaks that once belonged only to elite mountaineers. This accessibility carries a cost. Clients who purchase their way onto the mountain may lack the experience to recognize when they should turn back. They rely on guides to make decisions for them, but guides face their own pressures. Clients who have paid $85,000 for an Everest expedition and expect a summit in return. The transaction creates a terrible incentive. Guides who might turn back if climbing alone feel pressure to push clients higher, and clients who might retreat if responsible for themselves defer to guides even when their bodies are failing. This dynamic was tragically evident in the 1996 Everest disaster, when two commercial expeditions summited late and descended into a storm. Clients continued upward past turnaround time. Guides made decisions they later regretted, and the mountain's arithmetic proved merciless. 8 people died, including some of the most experienced guides on the mountain. Because summit fever operates across experience levels and professional boundaries. Money cannot buy good judgment, and expertise does not confer immunity to the psychological pull of a visible summit. Let this remind you, you cannot outsource your own limits to someone else's authority. No guide, no expert, no professional can know your body's edge as well as you can. When you feel exhausted, when rest calls, when your spirit needs quiet, no external voice should override that internal knowing. Trust your own tiredness tonight. Let it be your guide into sleep. The concept of saving face contributes to summit fever, especially in cultures where public commitment carries weight. A climber who announces their intention to summit, who accepts sponsorship or media attention, who promises loved ones a success story, faces social pressure on top of personal ambition. Turning around means admitting failure publicly, returning home without the story you promised, telling sponsors and followers that you came up short. For some personalities, this social cost feels unbearable, and the summit becomes not just a personal goal, but a public obligation. This pressure has killed climbers who might have survived if they felt free to turn back without shame. The mountain does not care about your Instagram followers, your sponsorship agreements, or the story you told your children. It cares only about your choices in real time and the consequences those choices carry. Summit fever weaponizes ego, turning pride into a liability, transforming the healthy desire for achievement into a pathological need to avoid the appearance of failure. Notice how much of your own striving is driven by what others expect. How often you push beyond your limits because you fear disappointing someone or looking weak. Tonight, you disappoint no one by resting. There is no audience here, no judges scoring your performance. Just you, your breath, and the invitation to soften into sleep without needing to prove anything. False summits are cruel tricks of topography, peaks that look like the top from below, but reveal themselves as mere shoulders on the ridge, with the true summit still hours distant. Climbers reach a false summit expecting relief and accomplishment, only to see the real peak rising beyond it. This revelation arrives at the worst possible moment, when reserves are already depleted, and the turnaround time may have already passed. Summit fever makes false summits particularly dangerous, because climbers convince themselves to continue after discovering the deception, reasoning that they have come this far and surely cannot stop now. The psychological blow of a false summit can shatter judgment. The climber who was already pushing their limits decides to push further, extending past their oxygen supply, past the safe descent window, past the point where retreat remains viable. The false summit becomes a trap. You have invested everything to reach what you thought was the goal, and abandoning that investment after discovering more feels impossible. So you continue, even though continuing has become the dangerous choice. Life offers many false summits, goals that promise fulfillment, but deliver only the view of further goals beyond them. The promotion that you think will bring satisfaction, but reveals another promotion above it. The achievement that was supposed to complete you, but leaves you empty and seeking the next peak. Tonight, release the entire topology of striving. There is no summit, false or true, that you must reach before morning. Just this: breath entering, breath leaving, body sinking deeper into rest. Hypoxia creates a strange confidence, a feeling that you are functioning normally even as your decision-making deteriorates. Climbers in the death zone often report feeling clear-headed and capable, right up until they make catastrophic errors, walking off cliffs they should have seen, removing gloves in deadly cold, sitting down to rest, and never standing again. The brain, starved of oxygen, loses the ability to assess its own impairment. This creates a feedback loop where summit fever thrives. You feel fine, you trust that feeling, you ignore evidence that contradicts it, and you continue upward even as your capacity for good judgment evaporates. This is why mountaineers use objective measures, turnaround times, oxygen levels, weather forecasts, rather than subjective feelings. Your brain cannot be trusted in hypoxia to accurately report its own state. Similarly, summit fever cannot be overcome by willpower or good intentions. It requires systems, commitments, and external boundaries that hold even when internal conviction wavers. The climber who summits and dies was not weaker-willed than the climber who turns around. They simply lacked or ignored the structures that protect against altered judgment. Your mind tonight may also be an imperfect judge of its own state. You may think you need to stay awake, to worry, to plan, to solve, but that thinking arises from a tired brain that has lost perspective. Trust the deeper wisdom that calls you to rest, the ancient knowledge that night is for sleeping and morning is for waking. Let your system shut down one by one into the darkness that restores. The summit photo becomes totemic in mountaineering culture, proof of achievement, the image that will live in slideshows and social media feeds, the visual trophy that makes the suffering worthwhile. Climbers speak of getting the summit photo as an essential part of the experience, and some prioritize this photograph even above their own safety, lingering at the top in dangerous is something both beautiful and tragic in this. The human need to capture and preserve moments of achievement, to have evidence that we accomplished something difficult. But the mountain does not care about your photographs. The summit will stand whether or not you document your brief presence there, and climbers have died trying to take that perfect shot, burning the minutes they needed to. Descend into darkness, or removing gloves to operate cameras and losing fingers to frostbite, trading function for an image. What needs documenting in your own life? What evidence do you seek to prove your worth? Tonight, let that need rest. You do not need to capture this moment, archive this piece, or prove that you rested well. Just rest. The only witness that matters is your own body, feeling itself heal in the quiet dark. Bottled oxygen has made Everest accessible, but also created its own set of dangers. Climbers ascend faster than their bodies can acclimate, trusting the oxygen to compensate. When bottles run empty or regulators fail, the climber suddenly faces the mountain's true altitude without preparation or reserves. Summit fever convinces climbers to ration oxygen too tightly, to climb on reduced flow to make bottles last, or to continue after bottles empty because the summit is so close. The oxygen becomes a crutch, and when it fails, the climber cannot stand on their own strength. There are reports of climbers sharing oxygen with strangers near the summit, dividing what little remains to help both people survive the descent. There are also reports of climbers stepping over dying people, because stopping to help would mean using oxygen they need for themselves. The death zone strips away social niceties and reveals what happens when resources are scarce and survival feels individual. Summit fever complicates this further. If you use your oxygen to help someone else, you might not summit. If you summit but use too much oxygen doing so, you might not descend. The calculations become brutal and binary. You breathe freely tonight, each inhalation abundant and easy. You need no bottle, no regulator, no rationing. The air is rich and your lungs are strong, and breath comes as naturally as tides. Let that abundance sink into your awareness. You are not in scarcity, but in plenty. Not in the death zone, but in the living valley where air is a gift that never runs out. Descent is where most climbers die, not because descent is technically harder than ascent, but because descent happens when reserves are exhausted, judgment is impaired, and the urgency of reaching safety battles against bodies that have nothing left to give. Summit fever focuses all attention on going up. The descent becomes an afterthought, something to worry about later, as if reaching the top somehow completes the mountain. But the mountain is a round trip, and the summit is only the halfway point. Climbers describe the descent as harder than expected, every step downward requiring concentration they no longer possess, balance they can barely maintain, strength they have already spent. Legs that powered upward now shake and buckle. Vision blurs with exhaustion, the mind wanders, and wandering minds make fatal errors. Yet summit fever offers no preparation for this reality. It sells the dream of standing on top while hiding the cost of getting down. There is wisdom here about sustainability. Any goal reached by burning yourself out completely is not truly successful if you cannot enjoy or integrate what you have achieved. The descent matters, the recovery matters, the return home matters. Tonight, you are in the phase of descent, coming down from the day's altitude into the valley of sleep. Honor this descent. Move carefully and kindly through it. You have climbed enough for today. As you settle deeper into rest now, let your awareness drift like someone descending through cloud layers, each breath taking you lower into the warm valleys, where survival requires no effort and peace needs no achievement. The high peaks stand in their silence, crowned with stars and danger, but you need not be among them tonight. You are descended, you are safe, you are held. Out there, ambition may howl like wind through the death zone. In here, there is only the quiet work of restoration. No summit calls your name. No goal demands your strength. Just breath, just rest, just the slow and sacred work of letting go. The psychology of sunk costs drives many summit fever decisions. Climbers calculate how much they have invested in reaching this point and conclude that turning back would waste that investment. Money spent on permits and guides, months of training, time away from work and family, the physical suffering already endured. All of this accumulates into a mental ledger that says continuing is the only rational choice. But sunk costs are already gone regardless of what you do next. And adding your life to the list of costs does not honour the investment, but destroys its purpose entirely. This fallacy appears everywhere in human decision making, not just on mountains. We stay in jobs that exhaust us because we have already given them years. We continue relationships that harm us because we have already invested love. We push our bodies past breaking because we have already come this far. The wisdom lies in recognizing that past costs are irrelevant to present choices. What matters is not what you have already spent, but what the next step will cost, and whether you can afford to pay it. Tonight, release every sunk cost you carry. The hours you have already lost to worry cannot be recovered by worrying more. The energy you have already spent cannot be replenished by spending more. Let it all go, like a climber dropping unnecessary weight before a retreat. Travel light into sleep. The Hillary Step, a nearly vertical rock face just below Everest summit, has become a bottleneck where climbers wait in line, exposed to wind and cold at 8,090 meters. In 2012, 4 climbers died in traffic jams near the step, their oxygen running out while they stood motionless, waiting for others to climb up or down the fixed ropes. Summit fever keeps them in line. Turning back means watching others continue upward, means giving up after waiting so long, means descending with the summit visible above you. The step becomes a test of will rather than skill, and many climbers fail that test by refusing to fail it, choosing to wait rather than retreat. The 2015 earthquake changed the step's profile, and some climbers report it is now less technically difficult, but no less dangerous as a psychological barrier. The rock may have shifted, but human nature remains constant. We queue for things we want badly enough, even when the queue itself becomes the danger. We wait for permission, for our turn, for the path to clear, even when waiting kills more surely than moving would. What are you waiting in line for in your own life? What queue has become so long that standing in it costs more than the goal is worth? Tonight, step out of every line. There is nothing here you must wait for, no permission needed to rest, no turn you must take before you can sleep. Just lie down and let sleep come to you without waiting. Climbers who survive extreme situations often describe a moment of clarity, a voice that cuts through summit fever and says, "Turn around now or die." Some attribute this to instinct, others to divine intervention, still others to the last spark of rational thought, piercing through hypoxia and obsession. Whatever its source, this clarity arrives as a gift and a test. Will you listen to the voice that knows truth, or will you continue following the voice that knows only desire? Many climbers who turn back at the last moment speak of it with gratitude and humility. They came so close to dying, so close to letting summit fever kill them, but something intervened. A cloud bank rolling in faster than expected, a sudden weakness in the legs, a memory of a loved one's face, a quiet knowing that this was not the mountain or the day or the attempt worth dying for. They descended and the summit remained unreached, and they lived. Years later, they described that decision as the wisest of their lives. That voice of clarity speaks to you now, quiet beneath the noise of your day. It says you are tired, and tired people need sleep. It says you have done enough, and enough is a complete sentence. It says rest is not giving up, but waking up to what your body truly needs. Listen to that voice tonight. Let it guide you downward into safety and restoration. The Khumbu icefall on Everest is a constantly shifting maze of ice blocks and crevasses that must be crossed to reach higher camps. Climbers know it is objectively dangerous. Ice collapses without warning. Avalanches sweep through without pattern. The accepted strategy is to move through the icefall quickly, minimizing time in the danger zone. Yet summit fever creates a perverse logic. Climbers who know the icefall is deadly will cross it multiple times in a single expedition, ascending and descending, carrying loads and establishing camps, because each crossing brings them closer to the summit. The Sherpas who work the icefall face the greatest of risk. They may cross it 30 or 40 times in a season, while clients cross it only 6 or 8 times. In 2014, an avalanche killed 16 Sherpas in the icefall, and many Sherpas called for a boycott of the season, arguing that no summit is worth such risk. Some clients agreed and went home. Others pressed their Sherpas to continue, arguing that they had paid for an expedition and deserved their chance. Summit fever does not only affect the person climbing, it radiates outward, compelling others to take risks they would not choose for themselves. Notice how your ambitions affect others, how your striving creates pressure on those around you. Tonight, release everyone from your expectations, including yourself. No one needs to carry you toward any goal. No one needs to risk themselves for your achievement. Just rest, solitary and sovereign, asking nothing of anyone. Speed, climbing attempts, racing to summit and descend in record time represent an extreme form of summit fever, where not only the peak, but the clock becomes the obsession. Climbers push their bodies into oxygen debt, skip acclimatization rotations, and rely on luck as much as skill to avoid disasters they have no time to prevent. When speed attempts succeed, they make headlines and inspire awe. When they fail, climbers die quickly and spectacularly, their bodies simply unable to sustain the pace required. There is something admirable in testing human limits, in discovering what the body can do under perfect conditions with maximum commitment. But there is also something cautionary. Speed becomes its own summit, and the fever to go faster, to break records, to achieve what no one else has achieved, can eclipse the wisdom that kept generations of climbers alive. The mountain does not reward speed, it simply tolerates it or does not, and the margin between success and catastrophe narrows with every minute shaved from the timeline. Your body needs the opposite of speed tonight. It needs slowness, patience, the deep time of restoration that cannot be rushed. Let your breathing slow to a pace that has no urgency, no destination, no record to break. Just breath following breath, tide after tide, in the ancient rhythm that heals. Climbers describe the view from the summit as transcendent, the curvature of the earth visible, the horizon stretching beyond imagination, the sense of standing in a place so few have stood. This view is what summit fever sells, not just achievement, but transformation. The belief that reaching the top will change you, complete you, make you into someone new. And for some climbers, the summit does deliver this transformation. They return home fundamentally altered, having touched something beyond ordinary experience. But others reach the summit and feel empty. The view is beautiful but brief. The moment is powerful but fleeting. And the descent begins immediately, leaving no time to integrate or absorb what has happened. They expected transcendence and found instead exhaustion, cold, and the pressing need to get down before dark. Summit fever promises an experience that reality cannot always deliver, and the gap between expectation and actuality can be its own form of suffering. What transformations are you chasing? What experiences do you believe will finally make you whole? Tonight, let transformation come not from achievement, but from surrender, not from reaching heights, but from sinking into depths. The deepest peace requires no summit, no view, no proof. It arrives when you stop seeking and simply rest in what already is. The commercialization of Everest has created a system where inexperienced climbers can purchase a summit attempt, complete with guides, Sherpas, oxygen, and logistics. This access is democracy in action. Mountaineering no longer belongs only to the elite, but it also means that people with minimal high-altitude experience find themselves in the death zone, entirely dependent on others to keep them alive. When these climbers succumb to summit fever, they lack the skills to recognize their own danger or the experience to make sound judgments. They trust the guides to turn them around, but guides face impossible choices when a client refuses to descend. Some of the most heartbreaking summit fever stories involve climbers who paid everything they had for one chance at Everest, who mortgaged homes or spent retirement savings or sacrificed years of stability for this single attempt. When the summit is close and the guides suggest turning around, these climbers cannot bear the thought of losing not just the summit, but the investment it represents. They beg to continue. They argue that they feel fine. They promise just a little further. And sometimes guides acquiesce. And sometimes those climbers die, and the question of who bears responsibility becomes impossible to answer. You need not purchase your rest or prove you deserve it. Sleep is not a commodity but a birthright, not an achievement but a necessity. Tonight, you are experienced enough to recognize your own tiredness, skilled enough to know when to stop. Trust that expertise now. The phenomenon of summit at any cost thinking represents summit fever in its purest form, the explicit decision that reaching the top justifies any risk, including death. Some climbers embrace this philosophy consciously, arguing that a life without great achievement is not worth living, that dying on a mountain while chasing a dream is preferable to dying slowly of ordinary causes. This is an ancient debate. How much risk is worth how much reward, and who decides whether a goal justifies its potential cost? Mountains do not judge these choices, but they enforce consequences with absolute consistency. If you push too far, you die. If you turn around, you live. The mountain does not care about your philosophy or your values or your calculations of meaningful death versus meaningless life. It simply exists, massive and indifferent, while humans project meaning onto its slopes and sometimes pay for that meaning with everything they have. There is courage in this willingness to risk everything for a dream, but there is also wisdom in recognizing that some dreams cost too much. Tonight, choose life over story, survival over glory, rest over any achievement you thought you needed to accomplish before you could allow yourself to sleep. Your dreams tonight will be gift enough. Rescue at extreme altitude is nearly impossible. Helicopters cannot fly in air so thin, and carrying an incapacitated person down technical terrain requires resources and manpower that usually do not exist. Climbers who collapse in the death zone often die there, sometimes with other climbers stepping past them because stopping means 2 deaths instead of 1. Summit fever complicates rescue because climbers who should be helping each other have used all their reserves pushing toward the summit and have nothing left to give when crisis strikes. The ethical questions are agonizing. If you stop to help a dying stranger, you will probably die too, and your help may not save them. If you continue past them, you might survive, but you will live forever with the knowledge that you left someone to die. These are not theoretical dilemmas, but real choices climbers face in the death zone, where the margins are so thin that compassion becomes a luxury few can afford. Summit fever creates these situations by pushing people into places where mutual aid becomes impossible. You need no rescue tonight, and can offer rescue to no one. You lie alone with your own breath and your own body, responsible only for yourself. Let that simplicity be a relief. No impossible choices, no agonizing dilemmas, just the straightforward work of allowing yourself to rest. Frostbite in the death zone happens quickly and irrevocably. Climbers remove gloves to adjust gear or take photographs, and in minutes their fingers freeze solid. Summit fever makes climbers willing to trade fingers for summits, to accept permanent disfigurement as the price of achievement. They tell themselves frostbite is manageable, that losing a few toes is worth the story they will tell, that they can live without all their fingers, but cannot live without the summit. This cost-benefit analysis happens in oxygen-starved brains under extreme stress, and the bargains struck often seem insane in retrospect. Climbers have summited Everest and descended with blackened hands, the tissue already dead, the fingers already lost. Some express regret, but others maintain the trade was worth it. They have their summit, and they have adapted to life without full use of their hands. The mountain took what it took, and they paid what they paid, and in their minds the account is settled. But watching someone explain how summit fever cost them their fingers, and hearing them say they would do it again, reveals the depth of obsession that high altitude mountaineering can create. What are you willing to lose for your goals? And would that trade still seem wise in 10 years? Tonight, you lose nothing by resting. You sacrifice nothing by sleeping. Your body will be whole when you wake, every part intact and functional, because rest demands no payment except time, and time spent sleeping is never wasted. The Widow's Peak on K2, the savage mountain, has killed more climbers per summit attempt than any other 8,000er. K2 summit fever is particularly deadly because the mountain itself is more technical and dangerous than Everest, with worse weather and no commercial infrastructure to support inexperienced climbers. Those who attempt K2 generally know what they are facing, yet summit fever strikes them just as hard. The combination of genuine mountaineering challenge and the psychological pull of the summit creates a mortality rate that would shut down any other recreational activity. Yet climbers keep attempting K2, keep dying on its slopes, keep pushing into conditions they know are deadly. The mountain has a reputation, and summiting it carries a prestige that Everest no longer offers. Summit fever on K2 is summit fever stripped of commercialization and excuses. These are skilled climbers making informed choices to continue into deadly situations, because the summit calls louder than reason. The mountain's body count speaks to human ambition's power over human survival instinct. What impossible things are you attempting? What challenges so severe they might break you? Tonight, let K2 stand unclimbed. Let the savage mountain keep its mystery. You need not prove yourself against the hardest tests to be worthy of rest. Sleep is for everyone, achievement required or not. As you breathe now, feel how your chest rises and falls without effort, without thought, without the thin air of high altitude making every breath a labor. Notice the warmth around you, the absence of killing cold, the shelter that requires no tent or sleeping bag rated to -40 degrees. You are not in the death zone. You are not fighting for each breath. You are here, safe and grounded, while the high peaks stand in their distant silence, and the climbers who chase them make their choices. Your choice tonight is simpler: to rest, to release, to let the day's altitude drain away into the valley of sleep. Feel your body growing heavier, your thoughts growing slower, your awareness beginning to drift like someone descending through the comfortable stages of oxygen-rich air. There is no summit above you calling your name. There is no goal you must reach before you can rest. The only direction that matters is downward, into the deep valleys where the body heals and the mind quiets, and sleep comes like a Sherpa who knows the way home. Let yourself be guided there now, past the high camps of thought, past the base camp of waking, down into the village of dreams where everything is green and warm and safe. You are descended now. You are home. Solo climbers face summit fever without the external check of teammates or the responsibility to others that might limit risk-taking. When you climb alone, your decisions affect only yourself, and this freedom can become dangerous. There is no one to question your judgment, no partner to suggest turning around, no voice except your own internal debate between desire and wisdom. Some solo climbers develop rigorous self-discipline to compensate, setting firm turnaround times and adhering to them religiously. Others climb without such structures and sometimes die, their bodies found later in positions suggesting they simply sat down and never got up. The solo ascent represents ultimate self-reliance, but also ultimate vulnerability. If you injure yourself, no one is coming. If you make a poor decision, no one will intervene. If summit fever takes hold, you face it alone with only your own willpower to counter its pull. Some climbers thrive in this environment, finding clarity in solitude and making better decisions without the social pressure of a group. Others discover too late that they needed the guardrails that companions provide, the external boundaries that protect against internal compulsion. Tonight, you are solo in your rest, but not alone in the world. Others sleep in their own beds, facing their own surrender to the night, breathing their own rhythms into the dark. You are part of a vast, invisible community of the exhausted, and all of you deserve the same kindness. Permission to stop, freedom to rest, release from the need to prove anything before you can sleep. Altitude affects people differently, and some climbers discover only at extreme height that their bodies cannot adapt, cannot acclimatize, cannot function in thin air. For these climbers, summit fever becomes particularly cruel. They have trained for months, traveled to the mountain, invested everything, only to find their physiology will not cooperate. They can choose to turn back, honoring their body's limitations, or they can push forward, forcing their failing system to do what it cannot sustain. Many choose to push, and some of those pay with their lives or their health, sacrificing irreplaceable function for a few hours on a summit their bodies were telling them they could not safely reach. The tragedy here is profound. Not everyone can do everything, and mountains reveal this truth without gentleness. Some bodies are built for high altitude, others are not. This is not moral failing, but biological variation. Yet summit fever refuses to accept such limits. It insists that will can overcome physiology, that determination can substitute for adaptation, that wanting something badly enough makes it possible. The mountain disagrees, and the mountain always has the final word. Your body has limits, and honoring them is not weakness but respect. Tonight, your body is telling you it is tired, and the wise response is to listen, to trust, to rest. Not everyone can climb Everest, but everyone can sleep, and sleep requires no special adaptation except the willingness to surrender control and let the body do its ancient work. Weather forecasting for high peaks has improved dramatically, with satellite data and computer models providing climbers better information than ever before. Yet summit fever renders this information irrelevant when climbers choose to ignore forecasts that contradict their desires. They summit into predicted storms, telling themselves the forecast might be wrong, or that they can beat the weather, or that they will take the risk because this is their only chance. The forecast proves accurate. The storm arrives, and climbers die in conditions they knew were coming, but chose to face anyway. This willful ignorance in the face of good information represents summit fever at its most frustrating. Climbers possess knowledge that could save them and choose to disregard it. They are not victims of bad luck or poor information, but of their own refusal to let Delta override desire. The mountain offers clear signals about danger, and forecasters provide specific warnings about timing and severity. But summit fever creates a filter that lets climbers hear only what supports continuing and dismiss everything else as excessive caution. What information are you ignoring in your own life? What signals is your body sending that you have chosen not to hear? Tonight, the forecast is simple. Your body predicts sleep is coming, your tiredness indicates rest is needed, and the wise choice is to believe these predictions and prepare accordingly. Let the storm of the day pass over you now, and lie in the calm that follows. The ethical debate around Everest's commercialization centers on whether guiding companies should accept clients who lack sufficient experience. Some argue that mountaineering should remain accessible to anyone willing to pay and train. Others contend that inexperienced climbers create dangerous conditions for everyone on the mountain, that their summit fever endangers not just themselves but also the guides and Sherpas who must care for them. There is no easy answer. Restricting access seems elitist, but allowing access has led to deaths that skill might have prevented. This tension reflects a broader question about risk and responsibility. When you enter dangerous terrain, are you responsible only for yourself? Or do you owe something to the community of others sharing that terrain? Summit fever tends toward individualism. My summit, my choice, my risk. But mountains are shared spaces, and your choices affect others, whether you acknowledge that or not. Rescue resources are finite, fixed ropes accommodate only so many climbers, and every person in the death zone increases the complexity and danger for everyone else there. You share the world with others who also need rest, but your sleep tonight affects no one's safety except your own. Rest is a private act with no ethical implications beyond self-care. So rest now, unburdened by questions of what you owe to others, responsible only for your own restoration. The feeling of invincibility that sometimes accompanies summit attempts, the sense that you are strong enough, lucky enough, special enough to beat the odds, is summit fever's most seductive lie. Mountains kill climbers of all skill levels, all ages, all nationalities. Experience helps, but it does not confer immunity. Preparation matters, but it cannot eliminate all risk. The climbers who die are not always the reckless or the foolish. They are often the competent and careful who made small errors compounded by bad timing and harsh conditions. This humility is hard to maintain when you are strong, and the weather is clear and the summit is close. In those moments, it feels impossible that anything could go wrong, that this particular attempt on this particular day could end badly. Summit fever feeds on this feeling, amplifying confidence into arrogance, transforming healthy self-belief into deadly overestimation. The mountain does not care how you feel about your chances. It operates according to physics and meteorology, and feeling invincible makes you no more durable than anyone else who has frozen or fallen or suffocated in the death zone. You are not invincible, and that is not failure, but truth. Your body requires sleep, your mind requires rest, your system requires recovery. These are not weaknesses, but features of being human, and honoring them makes you wise, not weak. Let yourself be vulnerable tonight, admitting you need what you need without pretending to strength you do not have. The moment of choosing to descend after investing everything in reaching the summit requires a death of sorts, the death of the story you told yourself about who you would become when you reach the top. You must grieve the summit you will not reach, the photograph you will not take, the achievement you will not claim. This grief is real and valid, even though turning around is the right choice. Summit fever often wins because climbers cannot bear this death, cannot face the loss of the identity they built around summiting, and so they continue upward toward actual death rather than face the symbolic death of admitting defeat. But experienced mountaineers learn to hold goals lightly, to attach their identity to something deeper than summits. They become people who climb mountains rather than people who must summit mountains. And this shift in self-concept creates freedom to turn around without existential crisis. The mountain will be there next year. They will still be climbers. The story changes, but the core self remains. Who are you if you rest instead of pushing through? Who are you if you honor limits instead of overcoming them? Tonight, discover that you are still yourself, still whole, still worthy, even in surrender. Let the exhausted identity of the striver die, and meet yourself again in the simplicity of being human and tired and ready to sleep. The practice of leaving prayer flags at summits speaks to the spiritual dimension that some climbers bring to high places. Tibetan Buddhists believe mountains are sacred, dwelling places of deities, and that flags carrying prayers will bless the wind that touches them. For these climbers, reaching the summit is not conquest, but pilgrimage, not achievement, but devotion. Yet even religious climbers can fall prey to summit fever. The sacred goal becomes so precious that turning away feels like failing the divine rather than simply accepting conditions. The mountain transforms from teacher to test, and the need to complete the pilgrimage eclipses the wisdom of knowing when the mountain says no. This confusion between devotion and obsession appears in many spiritual practices. The pilgrim who walks until their feet bleed, the monk who fasts past health into illness, the seeker who mistakes suffering for holiness. True devotion includes self-preservation, understanding that you cannot serve anything if you destroy yourself in service. The mountain gods, if they exist, do not require your death to prove your faith. They would rather you descend alive and return another season. Tonight, your devotion is to rest, and rest requires no suffering to prove itself authentic. The sacred work of sleep asks only that you lie down and allow the body its restoration. This is prayer enough, this surrender to the rhythms older than mountains. Climbers who attempt winter ascents of 8,000ers face exponentially increased danger. Temperatures drop to -60 Celsius. Winds howl at hurricane force, and the already thin air becomes even more hostile. Winter summits are rare and prestigious precisely because they are so difficult. Summit fever in winter is summit fever under the worst possible conditions, where every factor that makes high altitude climbing dangerous becomes magnified. Yet climbers attempt winter ascents anyway, drawn by the challenge and the glory of accomplishing what few dare. The winter climbers often speak of purity, no crowds, no commercial expeditions, just the mountain in its most unforgiving state, and the climber willing to face it. There is something beautiful in this stripped-down confrontation, in choosing difficulty for its own sake. But there is also something terrible in the toll it takes. Winter climbing deaths are particularly brutal, bodies frozen so quickly that rescue becomes impossible, conditions so severe that even turning around may not guarantee survival. What unnecessary difficulty are you choosing in your life? What winter ascents are you attempting when the summer route would serve just as well? Tonight, choose the easy path, the gentle season, the route that asks least of your depleted reserves. Sleep is summer in the mountains, warm and forgiving and kind. The concept of alpine-style climbing, ascending quickly with minimal gear and no fixed camps, represents an aesthetic choice as much as a tactical one. Alpine-style climbers argue that siege-style expeditions with their multiple camps and fixed ropes lack purity, that true mountaineering means committing fully and moving fast. This philosophy creates its own summit fever. Once you commit to alpine style, retreat becomes more complicated because you have not established the infrastructure of camps to fall back to. You are all in from the moment you leave base camp. When alpine style succeeds, it is elegant and impressive. When it fails, climbers often die because they lack the safety net that slower, more methodical approaches provide. The debate between alpine and siege style is partly about risk tolerance and partly about what mountaineering means at its core. Is it about standing on summits or about the manner in which you stand there? Summit fever exists in both approaches but manifests differently. Siege-style climbers push past turnaround times, while alpine-style climbers commit to attempts they should not begin. Your approach to rest needs no aesthetic justification. There is no pure way to sleep, and no impure way. Just close your eyes and let the body do what it knows how to do. No style points awarded, no judgment rendered, just the simple mechanics of a human animal settling into darkness. Helicopters have revolutionized mountain rescue at lower elevations, but in the death zone, they remain largely useless. The air is too thin for rotors to generate sufficient lift. Some modern helicopters can briefly touch down at Everest base camp, or even higher in perfect conditions. But sustained rescue operations above 7,000 meters are still impossible. This means that climbers in the death zone must rescue themselves or be carried by other climbers, a physical impossibility in most cases. Summit fever calculations rarely include this reality. Climbers assume that if something goes wrong, rescue will come, but above a certain altitude, rescue does not exist. The few successful high-altitude rescues required extraordinary effort and luck, perfect weather, nearby climbers with remaining strength, injuries that still allowed the victim to help with their own descent. These rescues are celebrated because they are so rare. More common are the climbers who collapse and are left to die because moving them is impossible, and staying with them means dying too. Summit fever relies on the fantasy of rescue, the belief that help will arrive if needed. But the mountain offers no such guarantee. You need no rescue tonight because you face no danger. You lie in a place where help would arrive quickly if needed, where safety is measured in minutes, not hours, where the coordinates of your location are known and the path to you is clear. Let this security sink deep. You are not isolated in the death zone, but held in a web of human infrastructure, walls, heat, light, proximity to others. Rest inside that web. The bodies preserved in the ice become part of the mountain's archive, frozen testimonies to the power of summit fever. Some are identified, mourned, remembered by name. Others remain unknown, their stories lost except for the fact of their death. The bodies do not decompose at altitude. The cold and lack of bacteria preserve them almost perfectly, so they remain as they died, sometimes for decades. Climbers ascending past these bodies face a mirror of their own potential fate, a reminder that summit fever has killed before and will kill again. Some expedition companies now include discussions of the bodies as part of summit preparation, warning clients what they will see and how to process it. The presence of the dead on the route is normalized, integrated into the mountain experience. This normalization is both practical and disturbing. It makes climbers aware of the risks while also making death seem ordinary, just another feature of the landscape. Summit fever thrives in this environment, where death is acknowledged but not internalized, where you see the cost but believe it will not be extracted from you. The dead rest now in their ice tombs, and they rest without knowing how their deaths are remembered or whether their summits felt worth the cost. You will rest differently tonight, in warmth, in safety, in the absolute certainty that you will wake tomorrow. Let their frozen sleep make you grateful for your warm one. Acclimatization requires time the body cannot negotiate. You must spend days or weeks at increasing altitudes, allowing your system to adapt to thin air. Commercial expeditions build in rotation schedules, carrying loads to higher camps and descending to sleep lower, giving the body time to produce more red blood cells and adjust to reduced oxygen. But summit fever makes climbers impatient with acclimatization, tempts them to skip rotations or rush the process, to trust supplemental oxygen to compensate for inadequate adaptation. Bodies pushed past their acclimatization limits fail in predictable ways: pulmonary edema, cerebral edema, exhaustion, collapse. The irony is that proper acclimatization actually increases summit chances by making the climber stronger and more capable when the summit push comes. But the process feels slow, and every day at altitude carries risk and uses resources. And summit fever whispers that you are strong enough already, that you are different from other climbers, that you can skip steps and succeed anyway. The mountain does not honor shortcuts. It enforces its requirements absolutely. And climbers who rush acclimatization pay the price in suffering or death. Your body tonight requires no forced adaptation, no schedule of exposure and retreat. Just rest, which it knows how to do without training or preparation. Sleep is the body's native language, and you speak it fluently without needing to learn. Let that fluency carry you now. The pressure to document every moment of a climb through photos, videos, satellite communications creates its own addition to summit fever. Climbers feel obligated to share their experience in real time, to post updates from high camps, to broadcast their achievement as it happens. This documentation takes time and attention, drains battery power needed for navigation and emergency communication, and creates an audience whose expectations become another form of pressure. Summit fever now includes the fever to share, to perform, to turn the climb into content that others will consume. Some climbers have died with their cameras still recording, their final moments captured for an audience that never asked to watch someone die. The impulse to document is deeply human. We want to preserve what matters to us, to share what we find beautiful or difficult. But when documentation becomes compulsory, when you cannot experience something without simultaneously broadcasting it, the mountain becomes a stage rather than a teacher, and summit fever acquires a voyeuristic dimension. No one is watching you rest tonight. No camera captures your breathing. No audience awaits updates on your descent into sleep. This privacy is a gift. You can rest without performance, sleep without documentation, heal without needing to prove that healing is happening. Just you and the darkness and the quiet work of restoration. The role of nationalism in summit fever appears on peaks, where first ascents from particular countries become matters of pride and funding. Government-sponsored expeditions carry the weight of national expectation. To turn around is to disappoint not just yourself, but your entire country. This adds layers of pressure that personal ambition alone cannot create. Climbers have died trying to plant their nation's flag on summits, believing that retreat would dishonor their country, that national pride demanded they push through conditions that wisdom said to flee. The first ascent of Everest by Hillary and Tenzing carried the weight of British and Nepalese aspirations. K2's first ascent by an Italian team was framed as national triumph. Chinese expeditions to Everest from the North Face have been state projects, successes celebrated as proof of national strength. When mountaineering becomes nationalism, summit fever becomes patriotism, and the psychological pressure to continue becomes almost unbearable. You represent no nation tonight, carry no flag, serve no collective identity, just your single, body asking for rest. That is enough. You are enough, without achievement, without representation, without needing to summit anything to justify your existence. Pause here, quiet climber. You have ascended through so much territory already tonight. The physiology of altitude, the psychology of obsession, the ethics of risk, the social pressures that compound individual desire. You have learned that summit fever is not simple weakness, but a complex interaction of biochemistry, culture, economics, ego, and the legitimate human hunger for transcendence. You have walked among the bodies frozen in ice and the survivors haunted by what they sacrificed to stand on top of the world. Now rest for a moment in this stillness. Imagine yourself in a high camp, safe inside a tent, while wind howls outside. The summit attempt is not tonight, but tomorrow. And tomorrow you can decide based on conditions what the wise choice will be. For now, you need only rest. Feel your sleeping bag around you, in this image, in this moment of imagination, and know that warmth and shelter are enough. The mountain stands in the darkness, patient and vast, but you are not on its slopes. You are here, safe, held. The avalanche risk that increases with warming temperatures adds yet another variable to summit decisions. As the day progresses and sun warms the slopes, snowpack that was stable at dawn becomes unstable by afternoon. Climbers caught high on the mountain face, impossible choices. Continue upward into increasing avalanche danger, or turn around before the summit, despite otherwise good conditions. Summit fever makes this decision agonizing because the danger is probabilistic rather than certain. The slope might avalanche, or it might not, and if you turn around for a danger that never manifests, did you make the right choice? This is the cruelty of risk assessment. You never know what would have happened if you had chosen differently. The climber who turns around will never know if they would have summited safely. The climber who continues and dies cannot testify to the wisdom of those who retreated. We learn about risk through aggregate statistics, but we live through individual moments where the statistics feel abstract and the summit feels real, and the choice must be made with incomplete information. Your risks tonight are minimal and clear. Rest brings no danger, only benefit. Sleep threatens nothing, promises restoration. Let the ambiguous risks belong to the mountains while you face only the certainty of healing darkness. The Sherpa culture's relationship with Everest, called Chomolungma in Tibetan, goddess mother of the world, differs fundamentally from Western climbing culture's approach. For many Sherpas, the mountain is sacred, a goddess to be respected, and climbing her slopes is complicated by this spiritual dimension. They burn juniper, make offerings, seek blessings from lamas before expeditions. Yet economic necessity has made Sherpa communities dependent on mountaineering tourism, creating a tension between reverence and pragmatism. Sherpas die on Everest at rates far exceeding foreign climbers. Their summit fever often economic rather than egotistical. They need the work, need the pay, need to support families and communities. This adds a layer of tragedy to summit fever deaths among Sherpas. They are often not chasing personal glory, but family survival. When a Sherpa dies in the icefall or high on the mountain, a family loses its breadwinner, children lose a parent, and the loss ripples through entire communities. Yet the work continues because alternatives are scarce in the Khumbu region, and mountaineering pays better than subsistence farming. Summit fever in this context becomes collective and economic. communities gambling with individual lives because the economic system offers few other choices. You rest tonight free of such calculations. Your sleep costs no one else their safety, requires no one else's labour, supports no economic system that trades lives for summits. Just rest, simple and clean, asking nothing of anyone. The death zone rainbow of colourful downsuits worn by climbers creates surreal images. Bright reds, yellows, blues against the stark white and grey of the upper mountain. These suits are designed to be visible, to help locate climbers in whiteout conditions, but they also create a carnival atmosphere incongruous with the death zone's severity. Summit fever among brightly dressed climbers looks almost festive from a distance, like a parade ascending into the sky, until you learn that some of those colourful figures will not descend, that the brightness cannot protect against the mountain's fundamental hostility to human life. Photographers capture these images, lines of climbers in rainbow suits queuing for the summit, and the pictures go viral, generating both awe and criticism. Some viewers see human determination and the democratization of adventure. Others see folly and disrespect, tourists treating a sacred mountain like an amusement park. The truth likely contains both. People can be simultaneously brave and foolish, respectful and arrogant, worthy of admiration and critique. You wear no bright suit tonight, fly no flag, wait in no line. Just your body in whatever comfortable clothing you chose for sleep, unremarkable and perfect, needing no visibility because you will not be lost. Climbers describe the sound of ice shifting in the Khumbu icefall, groans and cracks that remind them the mountain is alive with movement, that the ice beneath their feet is flowing slowly downward under its own immense weight. This sound should inspire caution, should remind climbers that they walk on a dynamic, dangerous surface. Yet summit fever makes them hear the groaning ice and think, not now, not while I'm here, not today. They gamble that the ice will hold for the few hours they need to cross it, and mostly they are right, but occasionally they are catastrophically wrong, and the ice collapses and climbers disappear into crevasses or are crushed by falling seracs. The mountain speaks constantly to those who listen. Wind rising means weather changing, snow texture changing means avalanche risk shifting, body sensations changing mean altitude affecting you. Summit fever deafens climbers to this language, makes them interpret warnings as background noise, turns the mountain's clear signals into mere inconvenience to be overcome, rather than information to be heeded. Listen instead to your body's quieter language tonight, the heaviness of eyelids, the slowing of thought, the way your limbs want to lie still rather than move. These are not warnings, but invitations. The body's way of saying it is ready for sleep. Accept that invitation now. Modern technology has made Everest safer in some ways. Better weather forecasting, satellite communication, GPS navigation. But technology also enables summit fever by making climbers feel more secure than conditions warrant. With a satellite phone, you can call for rescue, but rescue may not be possible. With GPS, you can navigate in whiteout, but navigation does not protect against exhaustion or altitude sickness. With advanced fabrics, you can stay warmer, but warmth does not substitute for good judgment. Technology becomes another thing summit fever weaponizes, another reason to continue when wisdom says to stop. The climbers who died before modern technology had fewer illusions about self-sufficiency. They knew that above a certain point, they were on their own, and this knowledge made them more This impression is often false, but summit fever amplifies it, turning tools that should enhance safety into justifications for taking risks the tools cannot actually mitigate. You need no technology to sleep, no app to optimize your rest, no device to track your sleep cycles, no communication with the outside world. Just the ancient human practice of lying down in darkness and allowing consciousness to fade. Trust this older technology, refined across millennia. The competition between commercial guiding companies creates perverse incentives around summit rates. Companies with higher success percentages attract more clients and can charge premium prices. This creates pressure on guides to push clients to summit even in marginal conditions to maintain the statistics that drive future business. Summit fever becomes systematic rather than individual, built into the economic structure of commercial mountaineering. Guides who prioritize safety over summit rates may lose business to competitors willing to take greater risks. This is not to say all guides are reckless or all companies prioritize profit over safety, but the structural incentives exist, and they shape decision-making in ways both obvious and subtle. The client who paid $85,000 expects a summit, and the guide whose salary depends on maintaining high success rates faces pressure to deliver that summit. When these pressures align with good conditions, everyone summits and descends safely. When pressures clash with deteriorating conditions, the results can be tragic. Release yourself from all such competitions tonight. You need no success rate, face no comparison with others' sleep, compete in no market for rest. Your sleep tonight is private, unmeasured, free of economic calculation. The memorial stones at Everest Base Camp commemorate climbers who died on the mountain, plaques and cairns listing names, dates, nationalities. Some families come to base camp to grieve, to stand as close as they can to where their loved one died. The memorial area grows each year as new deaths add new stones. This physical accumulation of loss should serve as warning, should make clear the cost of summit fever. Yet climbers walk among the memorial stones and mostly think, that will not be me. The same confidence that preceded every death commemorated there. Human psychology struggles with statistical risk at individual level. We know that some percentage of climbers die, but we believe we will be among the percentage that survives. This is not entirely irrational. Most climbers do survive, and without some confidence in survival, no one would attempt difficult things. But summit fever exploits this confidence, amplifying it into certainty, transforming realistic assessment into magical thinking. Your sleep tonight carries no such risk. The stones are far away, the mountains distant, the dangers irrelevant to this moment of rest. You are here, safe, warm, descending into sleep that requires no courage because it threatens nothing. As your breathing deepens now and your thoughts begin to scatter like clouds, breaking apart in high wind, let everything you have learned tonight settle into a quiet knowing rather than an urgent alarm. Summit fever teaches about the relationship between desire and wisdom, about how wanting something can eclipse judgment, about whether that thing is worth its cost. But the lesson applies gently to your own life, not as condemnation, but as invitation to examine where your own ambitions might be asking more than you can wisely give. You need summit nothing before you sleep. No peak awaits your conquest. No flag requires your planting. No achievement stands between you and rest. The only summit that matters tonight is the summit of wakefulness, which you are already descending from, step by step, breath by breath, thought by thought, into the warm valleys where sleep dwells in its patient kindness. Let yourself descend now. The mountain releases you, the fever breaks, the obsession fades. Only rest remains, simple and sufficient, and already here. Good night.